Hi everyone, welcome to the Kealion Bay podcast. How's life treating you today? I'm Kealion Bay, your mad science guide, and you've got a buffet of mind-bending topics and sensory surprises lined up. Ready to dive in? Let's go. Imagine a world sculpted to your every whim, a realm where risks dissolve, surprises vanish, and every dream is granted before you even conceive it. You wake each morning to absolute certainty. The weather is perfect. Your needs are anticipated. Your desires fulfilled. Yet, paradoxically, you feel empty, hollow, starved of wonder. Welcome to the ultimate conundrum, the perfect life that imprisons you in boredom. If comfort is king, why does your spirit rebel? If you are not enjoying life, you must have a perfect life. It sounds like a riddle conjured by a mad philosopher. Yet here lies the brutal kernel of truth. In an existence devoid of challenge, the mind's reverse circuits, dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, slip into a languid trance. Hedonic Adaptation, my dear explorers, is the villain here. Brickman and Campbell showed us in 1971 that we acclimate rapidly to highs and lows alike, and your emotional set point snaps back to normal as if on an invisible tether. A brand new sport car thrills for weeks. Then, nothing. A promotion dazzles briefly, then returns to mundane routine. But why? Why does the mind reject perfection? Because it craves novelty. Our neural machinery evolved to reward unpredictability. Each surprise a spark that kindless curiosity, problem-solving growth in a world prescripted for convenience. Our most primal circuits cry out for conflict, like an outrager puppy that chews the furniture out of sheer restlessness. The psyche gnaws on boredom when deprived of the thrill of the chase. Think of it as existence of infinite certainty is, biologically speaking, a slow death of delight. The brain, tired of stimuli, downgrades its own reward settings. What once felt like ecstasy now registers as wallpaper. Lets us summon the titans of thought to eliminate our path out of this sterile labyrinth. First, Aristotle's eudaimonia. Aristotle rejected hedonism as mere padding of the pleasures. He spoke of eudaimonia, flourishing through virtue. To him, life's worth was tied to the practice of excellent cultivating courage. Temperance, justice, wisdom, a comfortable life of ease. He warned, atrophies the soul. The truly happy person, he declared, is the one who restless with challenges, who haunts talents like a blacksmith forging steel. Second, Stoic forge, Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius. Our Roman Stoic forebears embraced adversity as the crucible of character. Seneca tossed adversity into the speechless like salt into soap, stinging but essential. Marcus Aurelius on the battlefield of the mind taught that happiness lies not in external fortune, but in our judgments. Choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. He wrote the Stoic would have us hug our trials like old friends, for each trial flexes and muscles of resilience. Nietzsche's Amor Fati, Frederick the Fury insisted we love our fate. Amor Fati, the universe with its twists of agony and triumph, is our personal manuscript. Every pang, every setback is a brushstroke in our masterpiece of becoming. Suffering is not a curse. It is the conditional clause that transforms I am into I become. Viktor Frankl's logotherapy, from the abyss of Nazi camps, Frankl soared to profound heights. He found that those who survived, who thrived, discovered a meaning so potent it overshadowed torture. Purpose, Frankl argued, is the North Star guiding the soul through storms. In meaning, we find enduring joy, not fleeting pleasure. Philosophy primes the mind, but neuroscience builds engine. First, hedonic adaptation. Our brains shock-absorbed wonders return to baseline after any stimulus. Wealth, fame, romance. They spark fireworks, then fizzle without fresh inputs. Emotional hemostasis drags us back to the rigidity. Post-traumatic growth, PTG. Tedeschi Tedeschi and Calhoun's work in the mid-90s revealed a paradox within trauma itself. Survivors often report higher well-being after the storm than beforehand. Why? Because trauma catalyzes growth. It pries open new perspectives, forges deeper connections, and cements a resilient self-imagine. The phonics redeems power from the ashes. Positive psychology. Martin Seligman sketched 5 pillars of flourishing positive emotion engagement relationships, meaning accomplishment, not conspicuous absence of comfort. It is struggle channeled purposefully that elevates each pillar. Neuroplasticity under strain, controlled stress, be it exercise, learning a new skill, or overcoming obstacle. Spur synaptic rewiring. Cortisol evolved for fight or flight. In measured doses, accelerates plasticity. The brain rebuilds itself stronger like a muscle after resistance training. Why? Then does turmoil unlock true contentment? Let me hand you the keys. Contrast effect. Dive from a cliff into icy water, then step onto sunlit sand. Your veins hum with exhilaration. Contrast elevates the ordinary to ecstatic, meaning making. Adversity. Compelled by question. This introspection seeks a narrative, a story of survival than outlast fleeting pleasures. Meaning is the diamond mined from the bedrock of chaos, resilience, and self-efficiency. Each conquered challenge is not just an event. It is a trophy of self-mastery. Your neural circuits encode, I overcome. This belief badges determination and in turn shapes future triumph. Social resonance. Suffering strips away pretenses and the human heart yearns for connection. We share our scars. We forge bonds in fire. Empathy surges and love becomes the ultimate verge and the deepest wellspring of joy. Enough reflection. Let us act. How do you transmute boredom into brilliance? Design. Micro adventures. You don't need Everest. Try cold showers. Master a new chord on guitar. Write with your non-dominant hand. Each novelty jolts your reward circuits awake. Embrace deliberate struggle. Enroll in that improve class. Teach yourself programming. Train for a 10K. Let purposeful difficult be your daily ritual, like coffee for the soul. Cultivate a meaning scaffold. Anchor your goals to deeper values. If you learn a language, seek to read ancient poetry, not just order food abroad. If you train your body, tie it to a cause. Charity rounds, community service, purpose magnifies challenge into transformation. Practice gratitude under fire. Adapt a savor and query journal after a tough day. Not one small victory, and ask, what lesson hides in this struggle? Gratitude and reflection alchemize pain into wisdom. Forge empathy through sharing. Share your battles in a journal blog or with a mentor. Offer to listen to another story. In the exchange, you will find your own story enriched and a deeper sense of belonging. Now, you face 2 paths. The valley of static perfection, where the sunset never changes, but your heart turns to dust, or the mountain of intentional hardship, whose craggy slopes carve you into a radiant form. Which will you choose? Subscribe if you yearn to shatter the illusion of perfect comfort. Comment below. What challenge will you conquer this week? Will you learn an instrument, run a mile, comfort a fear? Your odyssey begins now. And remember, next week, we will dive into quantum consciousness. I think about it, actually. Can your mind thoroughly transcend the arrow of time? Hit that bell to remain forever anchored in the past. Let's drink a coffee. Imagine for a moment that the very notion of ending one's life doesn't exist anywhere in nature. In the rustle of the forest, the depths of the ocean, the cry of a wounded animal. And yet, here we are, humans, architects of civilizations, creators of art, whispering darkly about the only life we have. What cosmic glitch enabled this quietly human products. The self-imposed cessation of existence. The wild. We see behaviors that hint at loss or collapse. Birds caught in storms, herd animals abandoning the weak, but none plot their own demise. Those acts are tragedies of circumstance, not of intention. Only humans, burdened with self-reflection and future projection, can conceive of a deliberate death sentence against themselves. We possess temporal consciousness. We can remember the past, imagine the future, and knit together a stable self across time. We alone hold terror and fascination for nothingness. To commit suicide, one must first recognize mortality as final, address themselves as a unified I, and plan a journey into silence. That era calculus, life's ultimate equation, rests on cognitive pillars absent in other species. In my experiments with cognitive systems, the moment one maps death onto a personal agency, a little illusion blooms. Thus begins our descent into enigma. What social, philosophical conspire to tip a human mind from survival to self-destruction? Emile Durkheim tore open the veil, showing suicide a mirror to society's soul. He identified 4 archetypes. First one is egoistic suicide. It's so interesting. Isolation as killer, weak social ties, loneliness spun from streets of disconnection, drive individuals into existential desert, no tribe to lean on, no communal heartbeat to synchronize with, thus one falters. Second one is altruistic suicide. The self-subsumed, overwhelming group identity soldiers, cult members, ritual bearers. Dissolve individually to die for the collective becomes a noble act, a final devotion. Third one is economic suicide, moral disorientation, economic upheavals, shattered norms, social collapse, normlessness reigns without guiding stars. People drift into a despair quadrant where meaning evaporates. Fourth, fatalistic suicide, Operation Silent Scream, where structures choke autonomy, slavery, prison, totalitarian rule. Life itself becomes tyrannical prison sentence, prompting escape through death. By studying statistical waves of suicide, Durkheim revealed that it is never purely personal. It resonates from the rhythms of polity and culture. Our shared contracts broken or our bound to a tiny wood. Durkheim's lens invites us to ask in our hyper-connected yet paradoxically isolated era, are we signing the tune of egoism or anomie? On rocky shores of absurdity stood Albert Camus holding a pebble and asking, should one cast it back or carry it up? The absurd. A collusion between our hunger for meaning, the universe's indifferent silence. Suicide, the coward surrender. The moment one relinquishes the struggle, deeming the void too vast to challenge. Rebellion, the triumphant yes to life, to struggle, to suffer, to persist, despite the cosmic shock. Camus proclaimed, one must imagine Sisyphus happy, for in each upward push, in each rock's descent, there is defiance. A microcosm of rebellion against the void. Camus' spark lies in embracing absurdity as fuel or living. To love it meaningless is to transform it into a playground. Jean-Paul Sartre, herald of radical freedom, declared, man is condemned to be free. This freedom, boundless yet organizing, yields both creation and distraction. Absolute freedom, a blank canvas, endless possibilities. Responsibility, each choice tempts the self. To exit demands authorship. Suicide, a final assertion of freedom. A choice to erase the canvas. Yet, Sartre saw it as the ultimate absurdity. Freedom used to annihilate freedom. To escape existence is to defy one's own project. True authenticity, Sartre insisted, lies not in invasion, but embracing the vertigo of liberty. Crafting meaning through action. Philosophy sketches the map, psychiatry records the storm. The DSM-5 frames suicidal ideation as a hallmark of mood dysregulation, major depressive episodes, bipolar shifts, borderline turmoil, each I want to die, thought signal circuits faltering under emotional onslaughts. Neuroscience uncovers the fault lines, serotonergic imbalance, diminished serotonin links to impulsivity, aggression, self-harm. Imagine the brain's modulator slider stuck at painful level, prefrontal hypofunction. This region, our emotional executive, loses its grip, planning, impulsive control, future orientation. They all slip. HPA axis dysregulation. Chronic stress floats cortisol, eroding hippocampal resilience, widening the chasm between despair and relief. Risk factors, traumatic memories, substance misuse, social isolation intersect, raising the probability of crisis, yet protective forces endure. Secure attachments, family, mentors, community, therapeutic interventions, cognitive and dialectical therapies forging mental armor, moral and spiritual anchors, belief systems that embed life with transcendent meaning. In this biochemical and social psychological tempest, hope can still anchor the ship. Look closer at the neural world. Lions, salmons, elephants, none deliver at their end. A wounded deer may seek solitude to die, but not as final rebellion. It is instinctual retreat, not conscious farewell. Animal lack future self, imagining their behavior emerged from survival calculus, not existential dread. Only humans, waving threads of past, present, and future selves, conjure the narrative of self-termination. This is our cognitive alchemy, remarkable and perilous. Cultures and creeds nearly universally sanctify life. Hindu dharma, Christian doctrine, Islamic Sharia, secular humanism. In each, suicide is no release, but an echoing wound, fracturing families and communities. Religious addicts, life as sacred gift, sovereign mystery, ethical arguments, autonomy versus harm principle. Does one's right to die outweigh the devastation it inflicts? Schopenhauer's he named life a theater of suffering, but argued that death does not quench the will's repetition. Suicide merely resets the cycle, leaving the will unresolved. Thus, suicide is used as escape. It delivers only rupture between self and world, heart and hope. Having dissected the human mind's darkest corridors, how do we light the way out? Early warning signs, watch for isolation, mood swings, talk of despair, giving away prized possessions. There are distress signals, flares in the night, professional intervention. Contact crisis hotlines, EDAST 111 in the UK, 988 in the United States, mental health practitioners, emergency services. Swift action can redirect a fatal trajectory. Therapeutic modalities, CBT to dismantle negative thought loops, DBT for emotional regulation, pharmacotherapy to rebellion's neurochemistry, strengthening connections, family meetings, peer support groups, community programs, shared stories break the bubble of isolation, combating stigma, work open dialogues in workplaces, schools, places of worship, education, campaigns to normalize seeking help, resources sharing, display helpline numbers, mental health center contacts, online forums on social media and physical spaces. Remember, seeking help is an act of courage, a rebel yell against despair's siege. We are the species that alone scripts its own final. Suicide is neither an escape hatch nor a violent departure. It is the unanswered question at the end of a half-finished story. We must ask, why endure? What meaning can we carve from suffering? How can community hold us through the storm? Nature provides the template for self-wild death. Philosophy challenges despair with rebellion and freedom. Science arms us with understanding and intervention, and compassion waves the social threats that sustain us. So stand against the abyss. Speak of pain without shame. Networks of care. If someone you know, falters, reach out, because true salvation lies not in silence, but in solidarity. Subscribe for more explorations of mind and meaning. Comment below. Stay curious, stay connected, and above all, stay alive. Thank you so much for listening to me. Imagine life not as treadmill of rote routines, but as an ever-evolving symphony of sensation. Each moment and chase to leap into the colors, textures, and flavors of existence. Welcome to the Kealion Bay Doctrine, the art of savoring life as if it were your masterpiece, sculpted by every touch, aroma, sounds, taste, and emotion. Pleasure in my doctrine isn't mere hedonistic pursuit. It is radical immersion in the full spectrum of experience, positive and negative alike. Life is cosmic game. Your goal, rank up the maximum score by activating all your senses. Today, we'll dive deep into the philosophy and science behind this sensory odyssey. And of course, ritualize the ultimate practice, coffee. In everyday speech, enjoyment equates to chasing bliss, but that's like eating only the cherry and discarding the cake. True enjoyment means embracing the contrast of joy and sorrow, brightness and shadow. Picture your sense as game controllers, each nuance and perceive. Grain of sand underfoot, whisper of wind. This is the doctrine's core, sensory activation. Touch, trance the rigidity of your coffee cup. Feel the warmth seep through porcelain, anchoring you the present. Smell. Inhale deliberately. Detect the first floral note, the mind brew sweetness and smoky undercurrent. Taste. Sip in stages. Front plate brightness, mind plate body, lingering finish. Every layer a revolution. Sight, observe the cremas, fractal patterns, tiny mountain, rages of oil and foam. Sound, not the soft hiss as the steam escapes. The sight of satisfaction as liquid meat-throat emotion. Chart the inner ripples. Warmth, clarity, nostalgia, each a color on your physics palette. This doctrine demands active participation. Notice every micro detail. Map your emotional shifts and treat each sense as an instrument in your orchestra of consciousness. Our sensory artistry stands on the shoulders of philosophical titans who probed consciousness, pleasure, fate, and the playful nature of language. Phenomenology. Edmund Husserl, Maurice Merleau-Ponty, Cyril urged us to perform the phenomenological reduction, set aside assumptions, attend only to how things appear. Merleau-Ponty expanded this: our body is the perceiver, the world's primary interface. In the doctrine, we strip away autopilot, no background processing, so each glance, scanned, and taste reveals its essence, the chase, the thing itself. Epicurean hedonics. Epicurus preached that happiness springs from measured pleasures and freedom from pain. Yet Epicurus never advocated mindless indulgence. He sought sophisticated delight. Kealion Bay is this: we don't dull our sense, we refine them, consuming pleasure with execute attention. Nietzsche's amor fati. Friedrich Nietzsche told us to love our fate, amor fati, celebrating lives totally, joy interwoven with suffering. In our doctrine, adversity isn't a glitch, but a bonus stage. Moments of struggle offer hidden treasures of insight, heightening an ecstasy of triumph. We score points even when life hits us with unexpected bosses. Wittgenstein, language games. Ludwig Wittgenstein depicted language as an evolving playground of rules. Similarly, life is a sensory game. We invent new mini-games every day. Conscious coffee tasting, mindful listening, tactical exploration, each with its own grammar of meaning. We are players and rule makers. Together, these philosophies gift us a blueprint, suspend judgments, savor with mindful attention, embrace of all existence, and invent our sensory vocabularies. Philosophical scaffolding is vital, but science hands us the keys to our brain's word chambers. Let's unmask the neural alchemy behind sensory mastery. Flow theory. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, 1990. Flow arises when skill matches challenge, creating total absorption. In our sensory quests, like mastering coffee notes or decoding leaf textures, each nuanced task becomes a flow trigger, elevating focus, shrinking time, and maximizing reward. Mindfulness and sensory awareness. Decades of research confirm Anchoring attention to present moment sensations lowers stress hormones, enhances mood regulation, and rewires neural circuits for emotional resilience. The coffee ritual is the perfect microlab for mindfulness. One sip, one breath, and one thought at a time. Neural reward circuits. Dopamine neurons fire for predicted and unexpected rewards. Those tiny surprises that glitter in our coffee's aroma or a novel spice note by altering familiar rituals with new variations. Single origin beans, different grid size. We orchestrate reward cascades, keeping the brain's treasure chest overflowing. Embodied cognition. Cognition thrives in the body's feedback loops. Touch informs thought. Smell evokes memory. By weaving tactical, olfactory, gustatory inputs into conscious practice, we forge a holistic mind-body symphony where every cell hums with awareness. Armed with these insights, we can hack our biology, craft ritual that drive deep engagement, turbocharge learning, and sustain lasting joy. Behold the apex of sensory art, the coffee ritual, a 5-step odyssey, and transforms a daily pick-me-up into a transcendent ceremony. First thing is visual appraisal. Observe cup and crema. Examine color amber, chestnut, or hue spectrum. Trans microfoam ridges like starlit concentration. Olfactory survey. Deliberate sniff. 3-stage immediate top note inhale. Mind blow. Cross sniff. Death breath. Identify chocolate, berry, smoke, floor, or spice cluster. Gustatory deconstruction. Sip in phases. Hold in front plate. Note acidity. Mid plate. Assess body. Swallow. Detect finish. Jot mapping of sensation flow. Tactical bound. Cup connection. Feel warmth gradient. Trace rim texture. Sense mark with distribution. Glaze friction versus bare ceramic. Emotional mapping. Inner echoes. Tune into subtle shifts. Clarity, nostalgia, quiet joy. Rate intensity. And note any surprise spike, engaging each step slowly. No rush amplifies dopamine and endorphin release, forging stronger neural associations between ritual and reward. Now let's level up your daily interface with reality. Embed these modules into your schedule. Sensory mission. Assign micro quests. Fingerprint a leaf. Catalog 3 bird calls. Map traffic's rhythmic pulses. Experience scoreboard. Rate each quest on a scale of 1 to 10. Coffee ritual, 10 out of 10. Evening breeze, 8 out of 10. Track patterns, chase higher scores. Bonus stage transformation, convert adversary rush, our gridlock, heated debate, into bonus level. Deploy mindful breathing. Note emotion spikes, extract lessons. Ritual circles, form small groups for collective sensory silence. Share coffee notes, ambient soundscapes, tactical measures, amplifying social reward loops. Consistency is key. These quests are rewrite your sensory systems, forging a life where every moment hums with possibility. We have charted a course through phenomenological vistas, Epicurean delight, Nietzschean resilience, and we appeared into flow's neural caverns, harnessed mindfulness, orchestrated dopamine symphonies, and consecrated the humble coffee ritual as sacred act. The Kealion Bay doctrine summons you, sculpt each day into art, drink deeply, fully, play bodily, transform mundanity into an odyssey of sensation. If your senses are your instruments, let life be your magnum opus. Subscribe to awaken new dimensions of perception. Comment your highest sensory score or most prizing discovery. Stay curious, stay present, and most importantly, savor your masterpiece. Imagine a mind that sees without words, planes without syllables, and manipulates its world using nothing but fatter and big. Today, we explore shock to the anthropocentric paradigm. We sublime the intellect of crows, masters of instinct, strategy, and an almost alien ingenuity. In classical Western thought, animals were relegated to the realm of instinct, automatons driven by reflex, devoid of abstract cognition. The lion chases, the ant gathers, and crow. Well, the crow was once dismissed as the mere scavenger, yet the burgeoning field of animal mind ethics unmasks a diversity of cognitive states across species. Intelligence is not the monolith measured solely in neuron counts. It is a spectrum of capacities: problem solving, planning, social manipulation, manifesting in forms both familiar and uncanny. Enter the new Caledonian crow, an artisan of tools. These veins fashion hooks and probes from wings, bark every human detritus, wire and plastic, fashioning multi-step contraptions to extract hidden grooms and nectar. In one iconic experiment, researchers presented a crow with a vertical tube too narrow for its beak, containing a morsel. The bird crafted a hook tool, inserted it, extracted the thread, no prompting, no trial by error, requiring thousands of attempts. This is insightful problem solving, not mere operant conditioning. Philosophically, this compels us to revisit unconscious reasoning. If a creature without language can invent a tool, anticipate its function, and execute a plan, we must expand our definitions of thought beyond the Cartesian theater of the mind. Let us venture further into the arcane. Panpsychism, we view that consciousness or proto-consciousness is a fundamental feature of the universe. Of mind is woven into the fabric of matter, when perhaps the corvid brain is not an outlier, but a visible knot in a cosmic tapestry. Crows demonstrate that intelligence needs not be inserted in a neocortex or a thalamocortical loop. It can emerge in networks of neurons configured in vein ecologies. Then a crow uses a curved leaf to fish. When it catches food with deceptive decoys, it gestures toward a continuum of cognition, one that flows from single-celled organisms to cephalopods to birds to primates. Each organism expresses its niche of intelligence, and in crows, that expression is a masterclass in adaptability, creativity, and even social cunning. Philosophy provokes wonder. Science grounds it. Let's dissect the crow's cognitive toolkit. First of all, problem solving and tool use. New Caledonia crows, these corvids sculpt and employ tools crafted from neural materials, twins sharpened into hooks chipped from leaves to extract insect larvae from crevices. In progressive tasks, they demonstrate sequential tool use, selecting a short tool, using it to retrieve a longer one, then using that to extract the reward. This isn't trial and error. It's hierarchical planning, a cognitive leap once thought exclusive to primates. Future planning and theory of mind, catching strategies, crow stash, food in numerous concealed locations, remembering hundreds of catch sites weeks later beyond simple memory, and employ deceptive tactics, recatching in new spots if observed, creating decoy catches to mislead competitors. Such behaviors imply the ability to model other minds, knowledge, theory of mind, and to forecast future conditions. Social learning and cultural transmission. Corvid cultures studies reveal geographic variation in tool techniques and forging traditions, distinct local dialects of crow culture. Juveniles learn from elders, refining methods across generations. This cultural evolution parallels aspects of human society and complicates rigid species boundaries. When a juvenile emulates the precise angle of a parent's twin handle, it is not instinct, it is imitation, teaching, and innovation intersecting in flight. On a hike, I witnessed a crow confronted with a large milk biscuit, too bulky to carry in one go. Instead of abandoning it, the bird meticulously chipped the edge off, prying small fragments that fit comfortably in its beak. This trial-level strategy reveals transporting efficiency. Smaller pieces reduce carry weight, allowing rapid flight to a safe perch. Time optimization. In a predator-dense environment, swift retrieval and consumption trump prolonged extraction. Energy maximization. Fragmented bites are easier to consume to digest, delivering quick energy in lean conditions. This vignette exemplifies situated intelligence. The crow rapidly assesses risk, debunking human exceptionalism. Crows dismantle a myth of human-only intelligence. If we once saw animals as mindless matter, now we see them as cognitive companions, beings whose moral standing demands revaluation of animal welfare and ecosystem stewardship. Redefining intelligence and consciousness. They are planting the seed and toolcraft invalidate unconscious reflex expectations. Intelligence is a dynamic interplay of neural architecture, environmental feedback, and social transmission, reminding us that mind is as much scaffolded by culture as by biology. To respect crow intelligence is to acknowledge a continuum of mind, one that births us to our neural kin, urging ethical obligations to habitat protection and species coexistence. How can we deepen our dialogue with corvids and apply these insights? Citizen science and field projects equipped enthusiasms with video and audio recorded to document individual crow behaviors, cataloging regional variations in tool used calls, urban ecology studies, investigate how city-dwelling crows exploit human-made niches, uncovering their methods to access concealed waste or traffic-generated food sources. Additional workshop host crow cognition labs in schools and festivals promoting animal mind ethics and habitat advocacy through interactive demonstrations. This fusion of research and outreach transforms passive observation into collaborative exploration, a symbiotic exchange of curiosity and stewardship. Crows are not mere trash birds. They are masters of mind, architects of culture, and living testaments of intelligence writ in feathers. That humble milk biscuit episode was an evolutionary ballad of risk, reward memory, and innovation, a microcosm of survival calculus. As we expand our empathy and understanding, we blur the lines between us and them. Respect their genius, support habitat conservation, share your own crow encounters below and tag your videos. Hashtag correct cognition. Subscribe for more cosmic mind shapes. Until then, keep questioning, keep observing, and never underestimate the mind behind the feather. I want to tell a story. What if I told you that the greatest lessons in life are whispered not in the boredom or lecture hall, but on a rain-soaked mountain trail guided by crows? This week, deep in Seattle's misty woodlands, we discovered that every obstacle carries a spark of transformation. We set out at twilight. Captains, my friend, thermos bringing with freshly steeped tea, its fragrance waving warmth through our chilled bones. With each step, mud clung to our boots like memory to the mind. Visibility was sparse. A gloss of fog blanketed the undergrowth. Yet even as the world dissolved into a swirl of greens and grays, our senses sharpened touch. The squelch of mud underfoot, cold wet beat of skin, smell earth's fragrance amplified by rain, tears herbaceous, steam laced in the air, sound rain's rhythmic patter on leaves. As we ascended a steep ridge, the path narrowed into a slick ravine. Dolph whispered, "Turn back, this is madness." But in that moment, the forest offered another chorus, a murder of crows swooping into our prey. They circled us with deliberate grants, their ebony shadows cutting sharp arcs against the mist. Their presence was uncanny. The birds paid no heed to biting wind, to mud that grounded our boots, or to the sporadic drizzle that iced our brows with each beat of their wings. They communicated an unspoken creed. Adversary is our teacher, not our executioner. Recall Merleau-Ponty's assertion. Consciousness is embodied here. Legs burning from the slope, lungs stinging with cold air. We inhabited resilience physically. Our bodies, like the crows, learn to dance with the terrain. Each sensation, mouth's section, rain sting, become a portal to awareness. Phenomenological reduction. We stripped away abstractions, no emails, no deadlines, attending only to immediate experience. Embodied cognition, every muscle fiber informed decisions, where to place each foot, how to balance a cup of tea in a one hand. Thus, engaged, the trail lost its terror Instead, it revealed itself as a laboratory of transformation, where every physical challenge forested mental tenacity. Crows have long haunted human imagination, omens or tricksters, but on that ridge, they were mentors in winged form, teaching us three cardinal truths: adaptation in action. Observe how they maneuvered rocky outcrops, scoring for prey. They adjust wing beats to gusts, feet to perches. Their flight paths weren't arbitrary. They were dynamic responses to shifting conditions. From them, we gleaned that resilience is not rigidity, but a fluid negotiation between self and circumstance. Collective vigilance. A single crow signals danger. The flock responds in unison. On the ridge, as one's crow alighted on a branch, others fanned outward. They seem to guard a shared sacred trust in the network for unity, doubles strength under duress, embracing the present. When Captain, extending his teacup, a lone crow fearless, landed and dipped its break into the steam. That tiny act spoke volumes. No hesitation, no regret. Here and now, that crow drank deeply of existence. From this communication, we distilled a mantra. Challenges come to sharpen our resolve, not to consume our separate. Marcus Aurelius implored us to live in accordance with nature's rhythms. The Stoic taught that obstacles are the path itself, yet on that slope, ancient wisdom took on fresh resonance. Our regrets about missed opportunities and anxieties about unknowing paths ahead dissolved in the mist. In those moments, the only battle was with gravity and breath, stoic endurance. We reframed discomfort as an lie, each blister a badge of courage, existential emphasizing on the present. Starter's anguish might arise from reflection on freedom's weight, but here, freedom means placing one foot before to another. We realized true strength is not measured by past victories nor future plans, but by the clarity with which we inhabit the present struggle. Philosophy enlightens the mind, neuroscience galvanizes action. Research shows the controlled stress, exercise, cold exposure, mental challenge activates neuroplasticity, one that rich. Each step into sinking mud and each inhale of rigid air invoked a mild stress response. Cortisol surged, noradrenaline sharpened focus, but under that biochemical cascade, dopamine reward pathways lit up with every crest, conquered, and every crow interaction. HPA axis activation. Stress signals propelled energy mobilization, enabling us to push through muscle fatigue. Dopamine reward. Novel stimuli. Crows mist tea aroma triggered reward signals, reinforcing resilience behavior. Endorphin release, musculoskeletal exertion released endogenous opioids, buffering pain and creating an euphoric age that transformed pain into pleasure. Thus, the terrain was both adversary and ally, coercing our psychology into peak performance and etching resilience into our neural circuits. In the crucible of challenge, simple ritual became anchors. Captain's tea was more than warmth, it was a rite. Each sip breached suffering and triumph, fuel for body, balm for mind. Chemistry of caffeine activates adenosine receptors, enhancing alertness. Phenolic antioxidants mitigate oxidate stress induced by exertion. Sensory mindfulness, aroma, warmth, flavor. Each dimension feeds dopamine pathways. When you pour tea mid-ascent, the act transcends hydration. It becomes a celebration of persistence. And each crow's gaze becomes applause. What truths did Seattle's mist reveal? Distill them into actionable mantras. Every obstacle ignites latent willpower. Every drop of seed is proof of metamorphosis. The present moment is the area of true victory. Just as crows refine their strategies, so must we refine our mindset, seeing adversary as instruction, not indictment. Stand now, breathe deep, step forward, because the hardest moment harbors the greatest leap. We emerged from the rage transformed no grand epiphany, just an embroiled awareness awareness that life's great births growth. Let the crosses determination, the forest's hush guide your next challenge. Share your triumphs below. Did you scale your ounce mighty range? #Corporate Climb. Subscribe to join our next quest, Volcanoes and Alchemy of Adversity, where fire meets fortitude. Until then, stay curious, stay courageous, and remember, every step is part of your story. Thank you very much for listening to me. This is the end of podcast.